Have you ever wondered how modern agriculture machines have revolutionized the way we grow crops? From precision planting to automated harvesting, these machines have taken farming to another level. But what about the role of fertilizer? How has it evolved alongside these machines? Are there new technologies that can optimize its use and minimize its impact on the environment? Stay tuned to find out how fertilizer is changing the game in modern agriculture. Fertilizer is a compound utilized to enhance the fertility of soil or plants and enhance their growth rate. Usually, it is comprised of crucial elements such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that are indispensable for the prosperity and advancement of plants. Inadequate levels of nutrients may hinder growth, reduce output, and increase vulnerability to illness in plants. There are two primary categories of fertilizers available, which are organic and synthetic. Natural materials such as animal manure, compost, and bone meal are utilized in the production of organic fertilizers, whereas synthetic fertilizers are manufactured from chemicals and minerals. Intelligently reworded, each type has its own merits and drawbacks, and the selection of one over the other relies on various influences such as the nature of the soil, the type of flora, and ecological considerations. Although fertilizers have the ability to enhance crop production considerably, their use can also pose a threat to the ecosystem. Excessive or improper application of fertilizers can result in the contamination of water bodies, deterioration of soil quality, and potentially exacerbate the issue of global warming. The environment-friendly fertilizer procedures are gaining popularity with the aim of ensuring sustainable practices. The use of fertilizers has a long and ancient history dating back several millennia. The utilization of manure and other organic substances to enhance soil productivity can be traced back to ancient civilizations like the Sumerians and Babylonians, marking the early usage of fertilizers in history. They comprehended that utilizing these substances would result in improved agricultural production and more robust vegetation. For a considerable period, the Chinese have relied on natural fertilizers such as animal manure, compost, and green manure crops. They were actually the pioneers in creating a composting technique that utilized organic substances such as rice straw. Other societies worldwide eventually embraced this custom. In the era of the Middle Ages, Europeans started utilizing guano, which is sourced from the excrements of birds, as an advantageous means of fertilizer due to its high levels of nitrogen and phosphorus. During the 19th century, guano, which was sourced from the islands situated near the South American shoreline, emerged as a highly sought-after product. The identification of significant guano reserves resulted in a global commerce of the resource, and Peru emerged as the leading supplier. Within the 1800s, scientists began to create a higher understanding of plant nourishment and the part of basic supplements like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. In 1840, Justus von Liebig, a German chemist, discovered that plants required particular supplements to develop, which these nutrients may well be provided through the application of mineral fertilizers. The advancement of engineered fertilizers within the late 1800s and early 1900s revolutionized farming. Nitrogen fertilizers were to begin with delivered utilizing the Haber-Bosch prepare, which includes combining nitrogen and hydrogen beneath tall weight and temperatures to create smelling salts. This alkali was at that point utilized to deliver nitrogen fertilizers like ammonium, nitrate, and urea, and ammonium sulfate. Within the 20th century, the utilize of manufactured fertilizers got to be broad, and trim yields expanded drastically. In any case, the unpredictable utilize of fertilizers driven to natural issues like soil corruption, water contamination, and eutrophication, which is the excess of green growth and other oceanic plants due to tall levels of supplement in conduits. To handle these issues, researchers started the creation of eco-friendly strategies for fertilization. A hone known as accuracy horticulture utilizes GPS and sensors to apply fertilizers exclusively in vital regions, diminishing abundance and natural effect. An elective strategy is to utilize natural fertilizers such as compost, which not as it were supply fundamental supplements, but to upgrade the consistency of the soil and maintenance of water. By empowering the development of useful microorganisms in soil, natural fertilizers successfully capture carbon from the air, subsequently contributing to the lessening of nursery gas emanations. Recently, there has been an increment within the interest for making flighty implies of giving supplements for plants that incorporate utilizing deny things such as remaining edibles and smudges sewage slush. These things have basic supplements that can be reused within the soil, reducing the prerequisite for fake fertilizers and lessening waste. Fertilizers bring numerous benefits to both the development of plants and the generation of crops. Underneath are a few critical preferences. Fertilizers are exceedingly invaluable in upgrading edit efficiency, as they give key supplements such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that play a significant part in supporting plant development and improvement. By providing suitable fertilizers within the adjust extents, it is conceivable for plants to abdicate greater and more advantageous crops such as natural products, vegetables, and grains. The utilization of fertilizers is a successful implies of upgrading the efficiency of soil by supplementing the supplements that are exhausted as a result of edit collecting or filtering. Keeping up a sound soil biological system is vital because it advances made strides, plant development, and improvement. Plants that receive adequate amounts of nutrients from fertilizers are better able to resist diseases, pests, and environmental stresses. This means that they are less likely to suffer from stunted growth, reduced yields, or even death. For farmers, fertilizers can be a cost-effective way to increase crop yields and profits. With higher yields, they can sell more produce and generate more income. Fertilizers can be customized to deliver specific nutrients to plants based on their needs. This allows farmers to tailor their fertilizer application to the specific requirement of different crops, soil types, and growing conditions. With the development of sustainable fertilizer practices, fertilizers can help to improve environmental sustainability. This includes practices like precision agriculture, which helps to reduce fertilizer waste and minimize the environmental impact of fertilizer use. Fertilizers can also enhance carbon sequestration by promoting healthy soil microbial activity. This helps to sequester carbon from the atmosphere and mitigate climate change. By increasing crop yields, fertilizers can help reduce the amount of land needed for agriculture. This can help to preserve natural habitats and reduce deforestation. Fertilizers are a key driver of global trade, with many countries importing and exporting fertilizers to meet their agriculture needs. This can help to promote economic growth and improve access to food in regions where agriculture is less developed. In summary, fertilizers offer a wide range of advantages for agriculture, human health, and the environment. While their use must be balanced with environmental concerns, they remain a critical component of modern agriculture and are essential for feeding the world's growing population. As sustainable fertilizer practices continue to develop, fertilizers will continue to play an important role in promoting global food security and environmental sustainability. There are also some disadvantages that must be considered. Here are some key drawbacks. One of the main disadvantages of fertilizers is that they can contribute to environmental pollution. When fertilizers are applied in excess or in the wrong way, they can run off into nearby water sources, leading to eutrophication, algal blooms, and other negative environmental impacts. Some fertilizers, particularly those containing nitrogen, can contribute to soil acidification. This can have negative impacts on soil health and plant growth, and can also lead to increased leaching of nutrients into water sources. Fertilizers can be expensive, particularly for farmers in developing countries or those with limited financial resources. This can make it difficult for farmers to access the nutrients they need to maintain healthy crops. Fertilizers can create a dependence on external inputs, which can be problematic in regions where access to fertilizers is limited or where fertilizer prices are high. This can limit the ability of some farmers to grow crops and generate income. A few fertilizers can have negative impacts on advantageous creepy crawlies and microorganisms, which can have negative impacts on soil well-being and plant development. Over-application of fertilizers can lead to supplement lopsided characteristics, which can contrarily affect plant development and lead to natural contamination. Fertilizers offer numerous preferences for plant development and edit generation, but they, moreover, have more drawbacks that must be considered. These downsides incorporate natural contamination, soil fermentation, tall costs, reliance on outside inputs, diminished soil biodiversity, negative impacts on useful creepy crawlies and microorganisms, chance of overapplication, hazard of poisonous quality, and non-renewable asset consumption. To relieve these issues, feasible fertilizer homes must be created and actualized. Counting accuracy agribusiness, natural cultivating, and the utilize of elective sources of fertilizer. A few fertilizers contain destructive chemicals and overwhelming metals, which can have negative impacts on human well-being in case they are devoured through sullied nourishment or water. This can incorporate formative disarranges, neurological issues, and cancer. The application of fertilizers can have negative impacts on natural life by lessening environment quality and changing the composition of biological systems. It is critical to note that not all fertilizers have the same disadvantages, and numerous of these issues can be moderated through maintainable fertilizer homes and dependable utilize. For illustration, exactness farming can offer assistance to diminish fertilizer squander and restrain natural impacts, whereas natural cultivating can minimize reliance on outside inputs and advance soil well-being and biodiversity. By carefully considering the potential downsides of fertilizers and executing maintainable homes, it is conceivable to maximize the benefits of fertilizers, whereas minimizing their negative impacts. Fertilizers have played a basic part in expanding edit yields and supporting worldwide nourishment generations over the past century. They offer numerous benefits, counting expanded edit development and surrender, moved forward soil ripeness, and more noteworthy nourishment security. In any case, they too have a few noteworthy disadvantages, counting natural contamination, soil fermentation, tall costs, reliance on outside inputs, and negative impacts on biodiversity, human well-being, and the environment. To address these issues, sustainable fertilizer practices must be developed and implemented, including precision agriculture, organic farming, and the use of alternative sources of fertilizer. This will help to promote healthy soil, reduce fertilizer waste, and minimize negative impacts on the environment while still supporting global food production. By carefully balancing the advantages and disadvantages of fertilizers, implementing sustainable practices, we can support both agriculture productivity and environmental sustainability for generations to come.